Oh, what's up YouTube? Audio Jake here bringing you another video. This one's on Destiny 2. It's going to be a build guide. So Season 18 released in Destiny 2, Season of the Plunder. And Arc 3.0, so we got some new toys to play with. I wanted to go over my Hunter build here and make a video of it. So what do I think about Season of the Plunder so far? Well, it's pirate themed, so that's pretty cool. The other thing is, to me, it pales a little bit in comparison to Season 17. I thought there was more content, a little bit more enjoyable content with Season 17. And if we go to destinations, so it's going to be located here on the helm, just like the Crown of Sorrow was. So you're going to get a new star chart, right? And you're going to have some, you're going to get access to this, the Lost City. And you're going to do Ketch Crashes, in which here you do this activity with 6 other players. It's matchmaking, cooperative, and then it does also have a hard mode. But you're going to collect map fragments and map coordinates for treasure. And then you're going to utilize those in basically a captain's log, essentially. Or a captain's atlas, sorry. Here's where you get your maps, right? See, I have one now, basic treasure map. So you spend those resources, map fragments, and treasure coordinates. And then once you have one of those, you're able to utilize the expedition to go get additional loot. So I mean, the gameplay loop's okay. But like I said, I think Season 17 did a little bit better job of delivering some content. I do like the pirate theme. I do like Ketch Crash. It's pretty fun. The expedition is like a glimmer drill, essentially, and a public event. So if you've played public events and you remember the glimmer drill one, that's pretty much what the expedition playlist is, essentially. What do I think about the class mods available to us? Well, to me they're a little lackluster compared to last season's. I definitely prefer last season's. So far, none of these at the top end here look like they're going to be anything groundbreaking or, you know, fun like Class of the Restoration was. Class of the Restoration allowed you to really customize your build on Solar 3.0 because it gave you restoration ×2. So there's nothing like that in any of these, unfortunately. So that's a little disappointing. So build diversity might be a little take a hit there, essentially. But my Arc 3.0 build for Hunter right now, I'm going to show you in this video, and we're going to do some gameplay loop as well. I'm going to show you a Ketch Crash, essentially. So let's go ahead and go through Arc Strider here. So the super I'm using is Gathering Storm. This is the new staff throw. So you hurl an arc staff forward, embedding it into a surface of large targets and jolting nearby targets. So Jolt now is charge a destructive arc light, as they take additional damage while they're jolted, and then they can chain lightning to nearby targets, essentially. So after a short time, a devastating lightning bolt strikes the staff, overcharging it with arc energy. While overcharged, your staff discharges lightning at nearby foes. Decent cooldown. Does decent damage. It doesn't do the damage that, say, Blade Barrage does. Blade Barrage does more damage. But you know, it's pretty decent. It's pretty cool. So, Gambler's Dodge, of course. We're going to get that melee ability back. And just so you're aware, the Arc 3.0 for Hunters is more melee based. So if you don't like a melee playstyle, you're probably going to be disappointed in Arc 3.0 for Hunters. Because this right here, Combination Blow, is essentially what Arc is centered around for Hunters. Is basically being in melee range, meleeing targets and doing a lot of damage and spreading jolt and lightning, essentially. For jump wise, the only thing new you got is a blink. So Hunter's got blink with Arc 3.0. So if you're a fan of blink, you know, you play Warlock a lot and you're a fan of that, there you go, you got it. I still prefer triple jump, to be honest. So we're gonna go with Combination Blow, because a quick strike that temporarily increases your melee damage when defeating a target, stacking 3 times. Defeating targets with this ability also fully refills your class ability energy and restores a small amount of health. So pretty neat. And when it stacks up to 3 times, it does chain. Boy, it does real good damage. I like Storm Grenade. but you can use any grenade you want. But I do like Storm Grenade. It's pretty cool. So Lethal Current is our aspect we're using. It gives you 2 fragment slots. After dodging, your next melee attack has an increased lunge range, jolts the target, and creates a damaging aftershock. Damaging any jolted target with melee attacks also blinds them. So this, combined with the 3 times combination blow, the nice damage, it ends up being pretty good damage, and it actually looks pretty cool. So Flow State, you get 2 fragment slots as well. Defeating a jolted target makes you amplified. While you are amplified, your dodge recharges more quickly, you are more resilient while dodging, and your reload speed is greatly increased. It's actually pretty nice. So fragment wise, here's where we're going to go with. While you are amplified, so I did Spark of Beacons. While you are amplified, your arc special weapon, Final Blows, create a blinding explosion in which I am utilizing Cold Heart for my arc special weapon. So remember, it has to be special ammo that it's firing in order for that fragment to be useful. But boy, I'll try and get it, make sure I show it in the gameplay. It does spread and it does do good damage. So we'll try and make sure we proc that one. Spark of Shock, your arc grenades jolt targets. So that means our Storm Grenade is going to jolt targets. Spark of Volts, finishers make you amplified. So we're going to amplify ourselves by using finishers. And then Spark of Discharge. Arc Weapon Final Blows have a chance to create an Ionic Trace. So what are Ionic Traces? Well, a bolt of pure arc energy that travels along the ground, seeking towards its creator. When picked up, Ionic Traces grants ability energy. Some other important ones to note here that might be of more use, or maybe you want to use them. I'm just using this setup because this is just what I like. But Spark of Resistance. While surrounded by combatants, you are more resistant to incoming damage. So if you're finding that your survivability is not there, you may want to go with this one, Spark of Resistance. Another more popular one would be, well, where you at? This one right here, Spark of Recharge. So while critically wounded, your melee and grenade energy regenerates more quickly. So that's probably going to be a popular one as well. And then the other ones that are locked, unfortunately, may be unlocked after Friday, once the raid's done. But this one's probably going to be Spark of Brilliance might be a good one. Defeating a blinded target with precision damage creates a blinding explosion. There's one more in here that probably this one, Spark of Amplitude. Rapidly defeating targets while you are amplified creates an orb power. And this one right here definitely is going to be popular. Spark of Feedback. Taking melee damage briefly increases your outgoing melee damage, especially if they pair it with like Liar's Handshake, the exotic. So gear wise, I'm going with Tears of Contrition for my scout rifle because I have explosive payload and I like it. But I mean, also Traveler's Chosen is a sidearm that I love using because it gets my refreshes my abilities back quicker. But definitely want an arc weapon like Cold Heart to spark, to spark our fragment here, Spark of Beacons. I'm using Red Herring just because I like that rocket launcher. Mod wise, we're going with a cloak. We're going full resilience to get my 40% damage reduction. We're going with Overcharge Wellmaker. Defeating a combatant with a finisher spawns 2 arc elemental. This is to ensure that we get our elemental wells. Here I went with Void on the feet. Went with Resilience. I went with Better Already. Your health begins to regenerate immediately after picking up an orb power. And I went with Insulation. Reduce all cooldowns for orb powers. I went with Elemental Charge. Become charged with light. Picking up elemental wells. So when we get those elemental wells from Wellmaker, we're going to become charged with light. Chest wise, I went with Solar. We went Resilience. We went melee damage resistance, sniper damage resistance, and I went with high energy fire to utilize my charged lights, so gaining bonus weapon damage, essentially. If you want more survivability, I can go back here. Let's say you're feeling you're a little too squishy, you can do Heal Thyself. They basically change your grenade into a healing grenade by consuming 1 stack of charged light. For arms, I went with Stasis because I do like grenade kickstart. Get our grenades back quicker. Resilience. I need an anti-barrier weapon. And I went with elemental armaments. And for our exotic, I went with Assassin's Coil. Definitely love this. Definitely love the survivability on it. The Cowl is really good. Went with Resilience again to get that 100 Resilience and 40% damage reduction. Went with Arc Siphon. This is to create Orbs of Power because we're going to be using an Arc Weapon to spark our Fragment. And of course, Powerful Friends, because 20 mobility and also we Charge of Light our nearby allies when we become Charge of Light. Definitely a great mod. And Assassin's Cowl, it has Vanishing Execution, so powered melee final blows grant invisibility and restore a proportion of health and shields. Finishers and final blows against more powerful targets increase the duration of the invisibility and the amount of health and shields restored. So if you end up finishing a champion, that health and that invisibility actually ends up being pretty substantial. And we made sure we had our 40% resistance on Resilience. Now, a small caveat, the forums on Reddit and Bungie's official forums, Titans and Warlocks are reporting that by using Arc 3.0, they are not getting their Resilience bonus. It's basically effectively acting like it's 0. So just keep that in mind. It appears not to be happening with Hunters, and on my testing, it doesn't seem like I'm super squishy. It seems like my Resilience is just fine. So it's definitely just Titans and Warlocks. I don't play a Titan and a Warlock as a main, so I can't really test it because my Titan and Warlock are woeful gear-wise, so it wouldn't matter anyways. But I have friends that play Titans and Warlocks, and they're definitely saying there's something up. So there's a bug essentially with Resilience when it comes to using Arc 3.0 and the Titan and the Warlock characters. So just keep that in mind. So if you're a Titan or a Warlock watching this, do some testing, see if you actually feel squishier using Arc 3.0. All right, let's get into the gameplay loop. Let's show you. So we're gonna do a Ketch Crush. And I'll show you the gameplay loop. So remember, the activity is 6 players. It's matchmaking on the lowest difficulty. On the highest difficulty, you're going to have a fire team that you put together yourself. So unfortunately, no matchmaking. Again, it's on a Ketch, so it's pirate themed. So you have, essentially, this is considered your crew. And you're going to go basically plunder another Ketch, essentially. So I really like Assassin's Cowl compared to Liar's Handshake, because even though Liar's Handshake does a lot of damage, and I'll do a build video on that one, Assassin's Cowl allows you to basically drop damage that is coming to you. So if you feel like you're getting overwhelmed with damage, you can melee a non-champion enemy, one-shot them, and become invisible. So as you can see, it's like ship-to-ship combat. You got cannons going off. It's pretty cool. So gameplay loop is the melee. You're going to dodge. Get that melee back. There you go. And now we're invisible. Melee again. Dodge. Now we're building up that combination blow, and you see that. basically jolted them and it sparked, killing the rest of them. Now we're amplified. Let's see if I can... We need more mobs. Killed them too quickly. Let's see if we can get amplified. And you see the damage spread because we are amplified. So that's that spark of or it's a fragment, the spark fragment. Creating very good damage while we're amplified. Survivability wise, it's pretty good. I don't think it's as good as Class C Restoration and Solar 3.0, but it's not bad. I don't feel like I'm struggling to stay alive, typically, which is like what happens with hunters, unfortunately. But that's the end of that phase. Now we're gonna go board the other ship. Remember, we're gonna dodge and get that melee back. Love that we can turn invisible for that.
You got a lot to learn about swashbuckling. We ain't the prey, we're the hunters. Now let's see what kind of loot these buccaneers got.
Now, might be some instances where you see where we didn't get our dodge back once we meleeed, because the melee didn't kill. So there may be situations where you kind of get caught with both cooldowns down, and that could definitely hurt you. Which is where something like Traveler's Chosen would come in handy to get your abilities back quicker. I love that, man. Boy, that combination blow with targets jolted just really does a lot of damage. See how we were getting low on health there. Immediately meleeed. Got some health back. And went invisible to kind of take some of the heat off of us. Let's make sure we hack this. There we go. Okay, excuse me there, sir. Oh, got a friend. Let's revive him. Let's make sure we get this thing. Alright, that phase is done.
These pirates were wise not to store all their treasure on this ship. They're more clever than I expected.
And in the next phase, I'll show you basically the spear of the super. Not here. We'll do it at the boss, because this is just a short. It would be a waste if I did it here. But you see, those are the ion traces that are coming to you that you created with your arc weapon. So that helps reduce cooldowns as well. Rally out the flag. Get some ammo back. highly recommend Cold Heart, this exotic. It's a great arc weapon. And here we're gonna have to get orbs to throw at these canisters. Sometimes you might run into that, where your melee doesn't kill. And here comes... So we're going to use our spear. As you can see, it does pretty good damage. Not as good damage as... See how we're low on health. Meleeed. Got our health back and went invisible. And threw that in an NPC. That was my bad. That had nothing to do with getting hit by mobs. That had everything to do with the gameplay mechanics killing me. So that was completely my fault. Alright, you need to pick these orbs up, and we need to find a canister like that. And be careful not to hit ourselves, like I did just last time. Here's another one. Take this guy out. And we're gonna revive our friend here. See if there's something else we can throw this at. Just right off the bat here. Yep, there's one more. And get that guy. Pick up our loot. And that is this phase right here. So we have one more phase. And then that will pretty much be it. So it doesn't take very long to do these catch missions. There's the boss. Let's build up our combination blow here. Ooh, that was my fault. You gotta be careful with those exploding shanks. You will not survive those. So we gotta be a little bit more aware as a hunter now, because we're being asked to do all of our damage real close into enemies, so melee range for a lot of these builds. Let's go ahead with the scout so we can hit these better at range. So this is the mechanics of the final boss. You're gonna hit these servitors. And here's his last phase. He's going to come in. And everybody's going to just absolutely waste him. And that's pretty much it. There's not a whole lot to these. It's the gameplay loop. So again, the Assassin's Cowl. Very good for dropping damage. Very good for getting you your health back. And that's pretty much it. So again, I love the build. Is Arc 3.0 better than Solar 3.0? I don't think so. I prefer Solo 3.0. I think there's just more tools there, more mechanics to use. This is pretty straightforward. It's really centered around melee. So if you like melee, definitely you're gonna go with Arc Strider. And I would recommend something like Assassin's Cowl, like I've just shown you. And I'll do a build video for Liar's Handshake. I believe that's what it's. Let's see here, Hunter. Yeah, Liar's Handshake. So cross counter, regenerates health and deals extra damage, basically for your melee attacks. All right, hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you learned something. Please like and subscribe. Audio Jake signing off.